Local Women Magazine presents Local Women Podcast, the show for things that matter. Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.
And we're back. It's the Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Woman Magazine, sponsored by Cathedral Eye Clinic. This is a podcast where I bring three fabulous ladies on board and we discuss the issues of the day. Now, who do I have this week? Well, of course, I have the mighty Jane Hardy. Now, Jane, as you know, is an author, a journalist. She's a person who's interviewed quite a lot of Tories in her time. She famously has interviewed Margaret Thatcher and, quote unquote, said John Major is quite sexy. Jane,
yes.
Is that a good summary?
That is a good summary, yes. Yeah. He's tall, he's a cricketer, and he was very sexy, actually, and I made him blush.
Sexy. Tell us why you made him blush.
Yes, okay. It was a series I was doing for the Sunday People magazine at the time called Never on
Very
Sunday.
Highbrow.
Very highbrow. Indeed. Never on Sunday. And of course, I asked him about Rumpy Pumpy on a Sunday.
That's sex, by the way. That's sex, by the way.
Indeed. Was it more exciting because it was on a Sunday, you know, and therefore felt slightly forbidden, and he didn't want to answer the question. And I only realised later that at the time he was, shall we say, dating or doing things, no doubt, on
Don't think there was many dates with Edwina Curry.
Edwina Curry,
think they were dating.
No,
allegedly, because of course he
yes.
has neither confirmed nor denied
No,
this
he
liaison
hasn't,
with
no.
Edwina that
You're
she has
right.
talked about extensively.
Indeed.
So on that bombshell, let's move over to Victoria O'Neill Watson, who is the owner of Two Taps along with her brother. Mm-hmm. Two Taps is a wine bar in town, a Spanish wine bar. So you're a restaurateur. You're very welcome. This is your first time on the Keeping an Eye on It podcast. Are you nervous?
I was
You
until we had our talk before that. Now I'm fine.
We always have a little pre-talk, and really we should probably record that because although the language will be bleeped out a lot.
To be fair.
Yes,
Because
it
we
would
try
be.
not to say too many F words, although occasionally, this is a podcast for adults, occasionally we do drop the F-bomb very occasionally. We're not proud of it, it's not big, it's not clever, but we do it occasionally.
Yes.
But that's fine. And over here we have the wonderful Joanna Denton. She's a columnist in Local Woman Magazine. She has 25 to 30 years experience in the business world, and she's a leadership coach. She also went to school with me, which is probably one of her proudest boasts, I would say, Joanna.
It is, to be fair.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
is,
get that on your CV immediately. We went to school together in Ballymoney, and yes, why is our picture not up on the wall?
It probably is.
Shall we go and look?
To be fair, if we go along the drama corridor, there probably are pictures. The only problem is that they're now near the end.
Really near the, like, where our pictures are in black and white, Joanna.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were there and like the old people, it was like 1960s.
Yeah.
And now when
I
you go
wasn't
in
born.
there, the old people are the 1980s and
Yeah,
1990s.
and that
that'll
would be us.
That'll be
And
us.
I really hope that picture, remember the panoramic photograph they used to take?
Oh, yes.
And that used to, some people would appear in it twice. There is a picture of me taken. It was my first year there. I was P4. So what age was I? Maybe 1983. And I was sitting cross-legged on the front row, and my pinafore flipped up at the front, and you can see where this is going. It flipped at the front, and there was a seam that could be shown, and everyone went, "I can see your knickers, Kim." And it was not my knickers. It was 1983, and I would just like to put on record that picture that is no doubt still hanging
That's
is
probably
not
the one that's there.
my knickers.
Not in
okay,
that
it's a
picture.
seam
Fair enough.
Not
on
in
my
that
pinafore.
picture. There may be
Yes.
other pictures since where it was your knickers, but on that
Yes, on that particular occasion.
On that
But,
particular
I like to
occasion.
keep that for my other website.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I jest, of course. Anyway, let's get on with it, girls.
Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.
Okay, ladies, for our first topic today, we're going to talk about romance scams, or just really scams. I've had some new research, and it's actually from the Republic. It's usually this is from like UK or like America, and they reckon that over the last few years, £7 million has been stolen off women. In particular, sometimes it's men, but mainly it is women, and this is through like a variety of sources. They meet somebody on the internet, they end up sending them money. The average amount is €30,000. That's how much these women are sending to men. Jane, why? Why are women sending men, or indeed men sending women money?
I think because they feel inadequate, they have to prove themselves, they have to prove their value, in this case, financial value. It's a strange phenomenon, but I remember years and years ago, I had a near boyfriend and I think a near miss with somebody called Alexander. And I remember telling him, as if this would make it any better, that I had a small house in France at the time, which I did, sadly no more. And it was as if I wanted to impress him with money.
With your
somehow,
value.
With my value. And I think that there's something to do with a feeling of vulnerability, inadequacy, and that you have to prove yourself to the man that you're worth dating.
And of course, the men know this.
And they know this, and they exploit this.
Yes.
And you do see older women, younger men, and you sense sometimes they're paying the tab.
Yes. Now, Victoria, is this something that you've seen? Do you know anybody who's been scammed?
I that's what I was asking there. I don't really know how. I've never heard of anyone send someone, unless they don't talk about it, of course. And I can
tend not to
totally
talk about it,
understand people would maybe do that, or women would maybe do that, or men. I have now heard of men sending money to women.
Yes.
A few of my friends have told me this before for an engage online or whatever. That has happened. I haven't heard about women. Personally, I haven't heard about, I haven't. But what you were saying there, that's quite sad. That made me feel a bit sad, actually.
That made me feel sad.
It made
and I kind of felt it. I did very much feel that. Do you think it's easy to pretend to be somebody else on the internet?
Well, I mean, yeah. Yeah. I'm going a little bit red saying that. I mean, yeah.
Don't we do that all the time? I mean, when you think about Instagram and the kind of Instagram lifestyle has no... you might not be there looking for romance, but you're still trying to set yourself up to look the best possible version of yourself.
Yes.
And there's a certain amount of mockery that does go on. Oh, these stupid old people, they should know better, which I think is actually very unfair, because a lot of people just want love. They are approached. I mean, I think the general approach would be, I'm like an American and I'm living in Syria or something.
Yes.
And usually they're ex-military, and then there's, some reason why you've got to send them money.
But I think it can also happen with people that you've met. I mean, I have an ex who I wasn't seeing for very long, and he was running a business, and quite apart from the fact that he told me he'd separated from his wife and he only had 2 kids, and in fact he was still with his wife and he had more than 2 kids, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, the first lie.
Love the narrative, yes. We've all been there. Yeah, the narrative.
That was the first thing. But at one point he started saying that could I help him out to buy some stuff for the business.
Right.
And I was in love with him. Of course I'm going to help you out and so on. But for various reasons I said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just we'll just put a loan agreement in place, and like that, it's all documented and everything else. And as soon as I said, oh, well, I'll just because obviously working in Big Four, I know lawyers and I because I think it was a couple of grand and as soon as I said that, I said, oh, no, it's fine.
Backed
and
off.
within a very short space of time, he was sleeping with
somebody
with his
who had
boss
more money than you.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, but it was interesting because he was sleeping with his boss, started going out with her, didn't bother telling me, and it was only when another friend of mine pointed it out and we split up. But she went on to then clothe him, buy him all sorts of things for the business and so on. And I think
we feel so sad to hear that.
Do you know what,
it's quite sad.
Do you know what these men are called online?
Tell me.
Hobosexuals. So these men are hobos, and they move from house to house, just leeching off women. So they are homosexuals. So your man was basically a homosexual.
No, I think that's probably a fair comment. And I think when we talk about scams, we can often think that it's something online, we've been catfished. But actually, there can also be people that we've actually seen in person.
Yes.
We've met them. They tell us a story about and we want. Maybe we want to hear it at the time because we are, maybe I wanted to hear it at the time because this was a sexy guy. He was interested in me.
Yeah.
Talk about cliche, he was my swim instructor.
Of course he was.
And I was scared of water, but he made sure I wasn't scared anymore.
Yeah, I know.
But the thing was, he met my parents, the whole thing. And so there was a scam in some ways, but it wasn't... it wasn't behind closed doors and so on. So if it
was in plain sight.
It was in plain sight. So imagine if you can do that for someone that you've seen in the flesh, in more ways than one.
I mean,
how easy, you know.
I've been scammed by somebody who said that they weren't married and they were, and it was for about a year, and I didn't know they were married, and then the house of cards came tumbling down. And I'd like to think that I'm a reasonably intelligent person.
So those are the targets usually, the ones that are intelligent, I think, are the targets usually.
Why?
I feel like
I feel
some men enjoy that chase, like
The
she's
game.
smart and she she knows,
It's the
that's
trophy,
like,
isn't it?
yeah, that's what I think. 100%.
I knew somebody quite well, and she was with somebody, and they eventually got married, but the relationships overlapped with another
I
relationship.
love that overlap.
Yes. And
He was cheating.
He always went for somebody who had a nice house that he persuaded her to sell it and move to the house that he wanted to.
Which means then
was
it's more like a marital asset
control.
rather than her house.
Yes, exactly. And he was somebody who was so secretive and managed to compartmentalise his life. He was a freelance in every description that he actually did a whole OU degree and she didn't know about it when they were married.
I think it was easier back in it was slightly easier back in the day before the internet. I mean, I am surprised that men get away with, and it generally is men, like I don't want to generalise, but it generally is men doing this who have like a family in one town and then like a family, the family in
Terrifies me
Milton
so
Keynes,
much dating
and then a
that.
family in like Durham.
Terrifies me that, yeah.
But I mean, and it would have been easier back in the day, but yet people can still do it. And any of us, I mean, I've just said that I fell prey to like that. You fell prey to
I
it.
have before as well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you
believed,
like?
yeah.
Were you believe because you want to
You want
believe
to
it?
of course you do.
Yes.
No, because they say it so it's real. Like it's like, look, like when you're watching someone and you can kind of read their mannerisms and you spend time together. It's not like it's just like one date and then this happens.
Yeah.
But what they tell you, that's terrifying. So then you get into this place where, do I believe anyone? Do I categorize this person? Do you know that? It's hard not to do that.
Absolutely.
Because now I'm back dating again. So like it's and all my friends are like laughing, like, I do not envy you. I do not envy this. And I'm like, oh my God, it's
Are you
terrifying.
back
Stop
dating?
So yeah, I'm back in the dating land. So
Isn't it dreary?
no, I'm actually enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. But yeah, there is that wall, like that fear, I suppose, that I don't want to live in. But I also, it would take me a long time to truly believe. Do you know that way? You don't want to test either. But yeah, I'm finding it hard.
Particularly, you don't want to be a trophy
No.
girlfriend, and you're obviously somebody of substance. So,
Well, I was
is
told-
that a problem too, in a way?
Do you know what I've been told 3 times now, quite recently, that I intimidate
Yeah.
them?
God.
And I don't know if it's because, is that they
That's
just
because
assume it's a
they're
money
inadequate.
thing? Yeah,
They're
like, I've
inadequate.
never discussed
Yeah.
anything like that. Like, I don't know what that is. And I know it's because my job's quite public. So and then we just celebrate our 20 years there. So there was a lot of publicity in August, which then heightened the DMs in Instagram, believe it or not. So that then,
bet.
yeah, people start to, but yeah, I just don't know. It's hard to know what's true. Yeah,
It's hard
like,
to
you
know
don't-
what's real. I mean, you go on to any dating site and it will be.
I'm scared to do it though. I'm scared to go on them.
Right, you'll go on and it'll say, marital status, single.
Yeah.
First lie. The next lie is what you're looking for. Monogamous relationship.
Or long term.
Another
No, it's
lie.
not. Yeah.
Another lie.
Yes.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's just lie after lie. Do you know there's actually a term for people who do this? The people who do it from call centres in Nigeria generally. Over there, they call that Yahoo boys.
No way.
Yahoo. I like
That's what
that.
they're called. Those
They
are those.
are Yahoos,
they
yes.
well, and also because they're using probably Yahoo emails and stuff like that.
Yes, of course,
That's what they're
yes.
known as, and they set up these scams where they contact the woman on Instagram and go, "Oh, you're so sexy, you're so hot, I love you," and blah blah. And like, who doesn't want to hear they're sexy and hot?
Yes, of
Like, give me a woman
But-
who doesn't want to hear that.
But whose antennae wouldn't twitch at that point, getting a message from
But they're
somebody?
good at it. They're good at it.
I suppose
they're
if they're good enough
They're-
at it.
Oh, you don't
I mean, it's
mind
a bit
me?
like, when I get followed by somebody on Twitter and then they say, "Hello, darling," you get the DM, and how are you
I'm getting
today?
a
And you
load
think
right
all
now.
that
I mean,
kind
I
of
am
thing.
getting a load on TikTok, I believe. Let me just peruse my DMs on TikTok here, and it's just endless message requests. Love you, Kim. I don't think he really does love me. Do people usually start convos with you or just stare from a distance?
Oh, I like that one. That was
That's
smooth.
rather good.
That was smooth. I liked it.
Thank you.
Who is he?
Hello.
Yes, no,
Here's another one.
it's-
Hello, I'm
it's good
sorry
it
for
is.
intruding into your privacy.
Yahoo
I only
boy.
came across your profile and I think ellipses. I hope we can be good friends. If you don't mind, question mark.
I love that she's just
That's,
reading this opening.
Good friends. Yes.
Here's one here. A guy posing with his dog. Hello, you look adorable. Smiley face, heart eye emoji. Sorry for meddling in your privacy. If you don't mind, I would like to ask you a question. Ellipses, which I ignore.
Yes.
Which I ignore. And actually, here's one from the famous actor Henry Cavill.
Oh wow! How cool is that?
Yeah, I mean, amazing.
Yes.
He's
From
got
him directly.
24 followers. You would think he would have more
he would.
followers given the
He
amount of
would,
movies he's been in. But that's okay because he's mine now. Good day. Okay. How's it going? Gotta say, your profile pic looks great. Flower. I'd really like to get to know ya and be mates. Hope that's all good with you. Heart. So this is the standard.
Yes.
Yours
So
are tame
if
though. I couldn't read mine.
If
Mine
I answered, so if I
Some of them
answered,
could be a bit,
now that's just the
risque.
so those
Yes.
are people obviously looking to scam me, and I do get quite a lot of the ones saying, "Do you want to be my sugar baby?" Which is hilarious because I'm 51. So God, what age are you? You know.
those
But
ones
I
are
do
funny.
then
Yeah.
say to them, "Yes, I would love that. How do I do this?" And I sometimes do, and they go, "Oh, you have to do
Play the
this." I'm
game.
like, and then I'll say, "Do you want me to send you nude pictures?" And they're like, "No, we don't need nude pictures. I just need your bank account."
Yeah, I was just about to
Yes.
say. Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
should we not exchange nude pictures first?
First,
You
yes,
know,
exactly.
But then they seem to, once you start questioning, they seem to taper off then.
Strangely.
Yeah,
yes,
they seem to
yes, they
taper off. But so
disappear.
I do think it would be easy to fall prey to that.
I think it's vulnerability, isn't it? And it's for whatever reason, it's lack of self-worth and feeling that somehow money and being able to provide money might make you more valuable in every sense, but more emotionally valuable.
Did you ever
somehow.
see the episode of Catfish on MTV where the guy thought he was in a relationship with the pop singer Katy Perry for 8 years? Does that ring a
remember
bell?
This. Yeah.
8 years with Katy Perry, and they never. I think they'd had a vague phone call,
Right.
And you know, she thinks she had a bit of a African accent, and
Yes.
but the line wasn't clear. She was having IT problems during this time that meant she couldn't get her screen up working. But that does happen
Of course.
for 8
Yeah, so
years.
she was probably up in space at the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it was before the space, but she did have, and he thoroughly believed it. And like we can laugh and sneer, but it's happened to us in this
Yes.
room.
But I think
Yeah.
that's the point. It has happened, and it's. I think there's some. If you take the scams to broader than just romance, on the finance side, or my classic one is always, this is HMRC calling, and if you don't pay, and it's funny as a former tax consultant to be like, oh well, I'll just,
Let me just get out my credit card, HMRC.
Well, exactly. But it's more kind of there are things like that when I know immediately it's a red flag, or this is Microsoft calling. There's a problem with your computer.
Yes.
No, there's not. But I can imagine that there might be other types of things that if I got them and you'd be unsure. I mean, I remember if you had the email one about, oh yes, when you were on that website.
The dirty website.
The dirty website, we downloaded thing and we've got
And we've got a
pictures of you.
video of you pleasuring yourself.
I've
Is
never
that
seen
it?
this.
Right,
No.
that's a scam that comes
No,
through.
I
They
haven't
send
had
it to
that.
mainly men.
Oh my God.
So
But I remember the first time I got that email.
I was a bit like, I remember the first time I got that email, I was a bit like, what website? What have I been on? What video did you have?
Completely. I was actually on a call with my business coach at the time, and Charlie, and I said, oh my God, I just had this come in, and Charlie's like, Joe, you've done your TEDx's now, you've got a book, your name is out there, you're going to get this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I obviously knew I hadn't been on any sites, but still the next day I'm speaking to my IT guy saying, oh, I've had this email, can you check? And he's like, Madam Denton, don't worry. I know you. I've been all over your computer. I know you don't visit those sites, but there's still that kind of, but that initial thing of,
But like
holy
lots of people
crap.
do visit sort of
Yes.
pornography sites, and it's not illegal. You know what I mean? It's not illegal to visit a pornography site. It is,
Exactly.
however, illegal to hack someone's computer, make a video of them, and then put it all over the world. That
yes,
is
it
illegal.
is.
You know.
Of course, but I mean, what Charlie was saying at the time is there'd been something in the days before the internet. There'd been something in America, or whatever, and they'd sent out like 2,000 letters. At the time on the offline thing, basically saying they sent these cold letters to say, cold as in you didn't necessarily know the person, but they sent the letters out saying we have pictures of you or whatever else, and they obviously they had nothing. But there was still a proportion of people
Who will
got
have been
scared.
who will have been having
Yes.
maybe an extramarital affair, who will have been
Exactly.
maybe I don't know,
Who
like
then
had
sent
sex
the
somewhere
money.
they shouldn't have been
Yes.
having sex. Out of 2,000 people, there will be 5 or 10% who have stepped out of line,
Precisely.
but not illegally, but have stepped out of line.
And then a number of them just kind of hand over the money because they think, well, I'm not going to risk it, because if they have this and they tell the entire village or the entire town.
But then blackmail presumably leads on and on.
There's a lot of people targeting
scams.
young guys at the minute. There's a lot of scam artists coming onto young guys.
Really?
Yeah, and the guys are like 19, 20, and then they exchange naughty pictures. And then
the
person
and
threaten them for money. Is that what
threaten them for money? And then if they don't pay, they do send the
son
pictures.
of
They
a
send
friend
pictures.
had
They send
happen,
pictures.
actually,
Have you
yes.
had those conversations with Dara?
Oh yes, I have. Yeah, I've said to him, if that ever happens, just come to me. It's fine.
Right.
We can get it stopped.
Yes.
And I have been on like radio talking about it and saying, if anybody is listening to this and they have got that, please tell your parents, because the police can it can be stopped. It's unlikely they're going to send it out to all your contacts, but even if they do, so what? It's not the end of the world. You know, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You're better. The worst thing to do is nothing.
Yes.
But I think that's where the secrecy and the shame can come in.
It's a shame.
And back to these scams, and that the shame of being scammed.
And of course, living in the society that we live in, Joanna, we live in such a conservative Northern Irish society that the thought of a video of you having sex is the worst thing in the world.
Oh my God, absolutely.
I mean, it's the worst in Northern Ireland, particularly, would just be the worst thing in the world.
And they play to it. I think that's exactly it. It comes back to the vulnerabilities of, as human
Yes, it
beings
does.
and all of that sort of thing. It's all about that. And I think, to your point on self-worth, if you're walking through the world with wondering if you are valuable, wondering if you are worthy, if you deserve love, these things, they'll get to you. If you're walking through the world and you don't give a shit and everything's fine, it'll just bounce off. But,
So, I think the message is just be very, very wary.
Local Women Magazine presents Local Women Podcast, the show for things that matter. Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.
Looking to upgrade your bathroom? At M1 Bathrooms Belfast, we've got everything under one roof, from stylish bathroom suites to easy-to-fit PVC panels in marble, stone, tile, and even 3D metallic effects. Full bathroom renovations completed in just 1 week. Visit our 4,000 square foot showroom off Kennedy Way behind Asda and discover top quality products to suit every style and every budget. That's M1 Bathrooms, your one-stop bathroom shop in Belfast. Call 02890 300 555. Open 6 days a week. M1 Bathrooms. Customer service from start to finish.
Make your living room the heart of your home with Glen Hill. From media walls to fireplaces, stoves to electric fires, we blend traditional charm with contemporary style. Visit Glen Hill, Stockman's Way, Belfast, or glenhill.co.uk. Glen Hill, affordable quality for over 40 years.
Transform your home with style and grace. At Decora Blinds Belfast, we offer elegant, made-to-measure blinds, blending beauty with functionality. From vibrant Alumatech aluminium Venetians to stunning shutter blinds, each available in a range of colours and slot widths. Wood or PVC Venetians, you'll hardly know the difference. Add tapes for that extra touch of luxury. Discover timeless design. Discover Decora Blinds Belfast.
Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.
So, ladies, according to new research just out, we have raised a generation of children who know how to pass their exams, but they can't boil an egg. This research shows that children these days, and by children I mean kind of teenagers, they don't really know how to do much. They can make TikTok videos, they can sort out your Alexa, but they don't know how to hoover, they can't get the ironing board up and down, they don't know how to budget, they can't do a weekly shop, and the big one, they can't make a phone call. And I guess that's our fault, because this is how we have raised people. Jane, have we raised a nation of snowflakes?
I wouldn't have entirely said so, although I relate to something of what you just described via my great nieces and nephew a little bit. Mm-hmm. There is this thing that they won't do housework.
No.
They won't necessarily cook for their parents. They expect it all to come the other way. Where I would disagree is certainly not no problem about making phone calls. their social lives would make, any member of the royal family look kind of, slack and never going out, basically. I mean, they have a social life to rival absolutely anybody's, any celebs, basically. Yeah. But I think it's to do with responsibility, actually.
So
they're not being asked by their parents, I guess.
We're not challenging them.
They're not being asked to take responsibility enough for housework, maybe cooking an egg occasionally, offering to do things, that sort of thing.
And why do you think that is? I mean, would it be, Victoria, whenever we are of a different generation, obviously, and whenever we were younger, things weren't fair? Do you remember you were in school and like somebody would get slapped or whatever, and that was just tough, you know what I mean? Things, we didn't grow up in a sort of fair world. We grew up in a world.
Get on with it.
Just get on with it and stop that. So we have now tried. we have now tried to make the world very, very fair for our children. I remember my son used to say to me, "Mummy, that's not fair," and I used to go, "Life's not fair, so think on." That was always my catchphrase to him because he couldn't understand why things weren't fair.
Actually, just talking about this is actually making me a little bit anxious for my kids when they're older. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to raise them like this. But you're actually right. What you said, I like the sound of that, giving them more responsibility. Like, should there be more, like we have it where I'm at the stage, it's not teenager, my boys are 3. So we're doing reward charts for potty and for but they want to help. They want to put their little, and then, but I also understand Mummy has to work. Mummy has to, I'm honest. I would say we're probably going to be quite a liberal household, I would say.
Yes.
But, do we placate, or is it a lazy thing where I'm probably at fault for this sometimes, where it'll be fast if I do it myself?
There is an element. I mean, we're doing it ourselves. Joanna, should this kind of stuff be taught in school? Should we be teaching them tax returns, how to change a light bulb,
I feel
how to make a spaghetti bolognese? Should be
life
skills
and relationships.
I think so. I mean, our home ec, when we were at school, home economics was the
domestic science, as some of you might know it.
Science, yes.
There was a perception that domestic science is what you did if you weren't very academic. So I only had domestic science
a couple of years
in the final year. How could I survive at university? It was basically here's a spaghetti bolognese and a carrot cake recipe.
Yes, they did that in our school. They did a special sort of class. Was it part of general studies or something?
I don't think we had general studies in the 80s.
Yeah, we did. We had general studies, and you were in the year above me. So I think there was a section of general studies, if I remember, and it was 6 weeks this and 6 weeks that and 6 weeks something else. Because I remember going into the tech next door and learning how to make a chili con carne.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think what would be great is to have more education about money. About budgeting.
Yes.
And, my sister's incredible. I mean, she lived with my gran for a year while she was studying, and my gran, she knew everyone, all the people on the market in Newcastle and South Shields and so on, and she taught my sister how to budget. My gran was incredible. She would go and she would buy half a pound of carrots. She'd come back, weigh them, realise it wasn't half a pound, but needed them for the stew. So she'd use them for the stew and then go back the next day and complain that she hadn't been given enough carrots. But I mean, she would send us like 4 or 5 different shops to get the best price on the mushrooms or whatever else. So my sister really learned how to budget and how to use money.
And now she has money, whereas we don't.
But I think that's a vital skill as well, that maybe we need to teach in a different way or sooner, or maybe they do teach that already at school.
They don't. No, they don't.
But I think that would be. I think that even it's things like saving. It's like even investments. Pensions. Oh my goodness, but to learn all that sort of thing. I think there's a lot that we can do at school, and I think back to your point on responsibility, I don't think we can just say, oh, it's the school's responsibility. I think I watched my sister parent my niece, and she doesn't rely on school to do that. She's also doing that at home. A lot of things around cooking as well. My niece loves baking and loves cooking. Doesn't necessarily want to follow a recipe because, she's a wee bit of a rebel like that and wonders why things don't work out as such. But she loves that side of it. So I think there's definitely things that we could be learning at school.
Jane, what do you wish that you had been taught? What life lesson?
Money and relationships, easy.
Relationships, I should have been taught that.
Yes.
Yeah, money and relationships.
Those 2 things, yes. Yes, about saving, about not getting rid of the house in France, about...
You do bring that up quite often, this house in France.
Yes,
why did you get rid of the house in France?
Well, I got rid of it just because we didn't go there so much. It was a long way away. and we didn't drive down. We went by train actually then, not by plane, to Avignon. And further up. No, because I loved it. It was next to a vineyard and then next to the graveyard where it's very Catholic. They had photos of people on the graves, you know, an absolutely fascinating village. And it had the only phone box in the village was actually a phone under an impeccable tea towel in Madame Egon's house, you know. So you had to go into somebody's house to use the phone, the public phone and that sort of thing. It was very much living in Provence back in the day, and there was a woman who had a pig that she slaughtered, you know, for Christmas and sort of beat it about. This poor thing, this aged woman. So it was like that. Yes, but if I'd been taught at school about investment, about holding on to things, about not making rash decisions financially, and maybe not making rash decisions romantically, I don't know as well.
That's another.
That would have been good. You know, I think those two areas certainly. A bit about civic duty and about voting and that sort of thing.
None of that was. What about you, Victoria? What are you going to teach your boys? Because you have 2 boys.
I know.
What is the one thing? Right? Are you going to teach them? Are you going to teach them how to use the washing machine?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
My brother is actually like quite a good role model to them because he, although his wife would probably say he doesn't, but he, you know, he very much would have done. We were very independent. I'm going to say that we were brought up very independent. So myself, my brother, my sister are very independent. I want them to have dependency. That I feel like that's strong. I also want them to treat women away.
Yeah,
so that's a very depending what way they go, of course. But housework. No, you're saying I'm actually really fascinated by you. I really just could listen to you all day.
I know, she's great.
Yeah, just staring at her like, yeah. But now you're saying about money. I feel like I should be taking notes. Like, okay, teach them about this.
Yeah.
Something came into my head though about more with females, young females. Do you not think it's more about vanity now? So I see how it's terrifying.
Everybody's
what they
terribly well groomed.
They're 14 and they look 35.
They're doing. You're right. They're doing makeup.
Lips are done. No, they're blowing up.
But everybody knows how to look good these days. We didn't really have that level of grooming.
Makeup before they go to school,
how they afford that as well. Like
well, they can do it. They can do a lot of it themselves.
Yeah, they're getting this done so young. They're coming into the restaurant for dinner. Like the last thing I want to do at 16 years old, will come to the restaurant for dinner and then go out. Like, what is that? You know, but they're how they're dressed.
Oh, they're dressed like adults. Yeah,
then they're going over to an establishment we won't mention, and they're clearly underage. You know, they're going. It's just that's terrifying.
15 going on 30.
Yeah, it's way too advanced.
I can't really speak. I was the queen of underage drinking.
But it's just like how they're more fixated on this. Like this fabrication online of to be a certain way, to look a certain way. We have to be that they all look the same to me. No one looks different.
Should we be teaching particularly girls, because you have a female niece? Should we be teaching girls about, I don't know, like that beauty doesn't really matter and to find the strength from within themselves, to validate themselves?
That's what I wrote down. I wrote people pleasing and treating self, and I think for me that. All these practical things definitely I think we need to do, but I think to the point in terms of, you know, how do we treat other people, I think we forget to teach about how do you treat yourself.
Should we be teaching young girls in school how to say no? And I'm not talking in a sexual manner. No, I'm talking just in a general way.
I think we should be teaching everyone, not
how
just
to say
girls,
no,
also the boys as well.
How to say no politely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And mean it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think even if I think like later than school, when I was at law college, I learned how to write memos. I learned how to do advocacy. I learned how to become a lawyer. But I never learned that it was okay to say no when I was already snowed under with work.
You said because you're a people pleaser.
Absolutely. And I think those aspects, I think, as well, to kind of lead from a place of self-worth and, you know, very fundamentally, like there is no overworking in the world. You know, me working, I mean, you know my story of burnout and so on. Me working in the office till 5 a.m. in the morning was not going to make me more worthy as a person.
But you felt it did.
You
felt it did.
You felt it did.
And you didn't know that you didn't have to do that. You sort of, no one had explained to you. I think the first time I ever had an email refusing something in a nice way, I remember putting in for an interview with somebody, I can't remember who it was, and the person came back and went, no thank you, I think I'll pass on that. And I'm thinking, wow, They didn't go into an explanation. They just said, I think I'll pass on that.
And maybe in a first instance you might have thought that was a bit rude.
Yeah.
But in a second instance, when you get over it,
well, everything I needed to know was there.
Absolutely,
that they're not going to do it. So
remember.
an interesting debate about what we should be teaching our children, and maybe it should be the word no.
Local Women Magazine presents Local Women Podcast, the show for things that matter. Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.
Don't just picture a new look. Step right into it at Glen Hill, Stockman's Way. Explore Belfast's biggest media wall displays with bespoke designs from Mavonic and Alir, plus stunning multi-fuel stoves and fireplaces. Find your modern way of living only at Glen Hill, Stockman's Way, Belfast.
Transform your home with style and grace. At Decora Blinds Belfast, we offer elegant, made-to-measure blinds, blending beauty with functionality. From vibrant Alumatech aluminium Venetians to stunning shutter blinds, each available in a range of colours and slot widths. Wood or PVC Venetians, you'll hardly know the difference. Add tapes for that extra touch of luxury. Discover timeless design. Discover Decora Blinds Belfast.
Looking to upgrade your bathroom? At M1 Bathrooms Belfast, we've got everything under one roof, from stylish bathroom suites to easy-to-fit PVC panels in marble, stone, tile, and even 3D metallic effects. Full bathroom renovations completed in just 1 week. Visit our 4,000 square foot showroom off Kennedy Way behind Asda and discover top quality products to suit every style and every budget. That's M1 Bathrooms, your one-stop bathroom shop in Belfast. Call 02890 300 555. Open 6 days a week. M1 Bathrooms. Customer service from start to finish.
Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.
And finally, when researching topics, yes, I actually research topics. I don't just sit here. Okay, when researching topics for this show, I Googled, what do women talk about? And you know what came up? Kate Middleton's hair.
That wasn't the first one, surely.
Absolutely.
It was. It came up as the most hits on news, the most news hits for that particular week.
Okay.
Now, obviously, that was like a week ago whenever Kate Middleton, dyed her hair blonde. She didn't even dye it blonde, like it's 2 shades lighter anyway. Yes. And I can't really sneer at this because whenever I saw that Kate Middleton had gone blondish, I actually screenshotted it and sent it to my mother. Now, again, I would like to say I'm a reasonably intelligent woman. Why did I feel the need to do that? Who knows? Why are we so interested in Kate Middleton's hair? Jane Hardy.
Because I think changes in hair, particularly for a woman, often indicate changes in your life. People cutting their hair short, people growing it long, people changing colour. And blonde has often been thought of as a more fun, extrovert colour. You know, blondes have more fun and that sort of thing. Yeah. And gentlemen prefer blondes going way back and all that sort of thing. I don't think in this case she's looking for another Prince William. You know,
God, I think one is enough.
Yes, I think one is
would you take
enough.
him with a bow round him, honestly?
But she's been through quite a lot with her cancer diagnosis and then having to go public with it. That made you realise that actually celebrity isn't all fun and games. You know,
I would hate her life.
Yes, it is the goldfish bowl, the ultimate guilt goldfish bowl, admittedly, but that's what it is. And I think that maybe she's indicating she's moving on from that phase and prepared to have more fun as well as doing all the duties she does. I think it is quite significant.
You think
yes,
it's significant?
Yes.
Victoria, do you care about Kate Middleton's hair? I never thought I would ask that question.
Okay, so I did see it on news feeds and I instantly just thought, okay, she's had a glow up. She looks good.
I didn't really like it.
Not
that it matters.
I think she looks
Who
good.
cares? You know,
I'm here for it. I like it.
You like it, yeah.
Yes, I like it.
Yeah, but I also then started to think, like, should I go? Like, I would love to do it for a week.
I have gone blonde before. You can't do it for a week. It takes 2 years to get that colour. So I was this colour. It took me 2 years to go platinum blonde, and then I kept it platinum.
Platinum?
Yeah, I'll show you pictures. I went platinum blonde for 2 years. It's It's an awful lot of hard work. It goes yellow. Yeah, it's awful. Do not go blonde. People stare at you. Oh my God!
Yeah,
you walk down the street. People
would I go wild? Yeah.
People go, and it's good for a while, but I couldn't. The upkeep of blonde hair is insane.
Maybe I'll invest in a good wig.
Get a wig.
Get a good wig. Try it out. Try her out.
Yeah.
Kate.
Joanna, are you surprised that people are so obsessed with Kate Middleton and her hair? Not Kate Middleton, but her actual hair. Does it shock you?
Okay, so may I be very honest?
Yes, go on, say it.
Okay, so we did our prep chat and before we started, and you said we're going to talk about this, and
she rolled her eyes. Rolled her eyes.
In my head, I'm going,
I don't want to talk about Kate.
Seriously?
She doesn't see the genius behind she doesn't see the genius.
No, but it was like,
trust the process.
Are we seriously going to talk about Kate Middleton's hair on a Local Women podcast?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not what Local Women's about.
It is.
No, it's not. But it's not. It's about women coming together and talking about real life. And maybe part of it is, Kate Middleton's hair, whatever. And then it's like, let's move on. We're not going to put an entire section on that, and so far, and
we're doing now.
Well, exactly. Apart from the fact that we have just done that, but I have to say, my initial reaction when you said that was it was surprise and shock of no, this is not what this is about.
We should be talking about something more intelligent.
No, not necessarily. I just told you about my embarrassing pictures with big pants on. I mean,
Joanna and her big knickers.
So not necessarily that, but I just noticed that my reaction was one of, what the heck? I didn't expect to be. Why the hell? Have you seen my hair? Why the heck would you bring me on to talk about someone's hair?
But you cannot deny that people are interested. It got the most hits. You can't deny it. But why? Why do we care?
Well, maybe it's. As someone who's a real doom scroller in the wee small hours, maybe it's just simply a bit of distraction of like life is so. There is so much stuff going on at the moment.
Yeah.
We've got war zones. I have clients, that are in war zones. We have all sorts of things going on. There's so much uncertainty in the world. Will there be another war? Will there be financial crisis and everything else? That actually, do you know what? Sometimes it's nice just to think about something else.
Something trivial.
Something more trivial that really...
maybe it's not trivial. Maybe she's, maybe this harks back to her changing her life.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We're going deeper.
And I love that. When you mentioned that, I thought fantastic. I would love it if people are really interested in that. And I think just sometimes, sitting here as pretending sometimes to be an intellectual and talk about serious things. For goodness sake, I was saying to you, in terms of my level of seriousness, I found a bogey on my cardigan. That's why I'm not wearing it.
I was laughing.
And it's like,
she just said it.
I don't even pretend to be clever. I'm not even pretending, okay?
So I think that's the point. I think sometimes it's just like, why not?
Yes, I think so. And I think sometimes we can be a little bit sneery as well. We can be a bit sneery and go, that's things that people talk about. But you cannot deny that is what people were talking about that week. And it does fascinate me. And I suppose it fascinates me too, because the royal family still fascinates people. It fascinates me.
People are obsessed. People are
it's weird.
Obsessed.
It's weird.
Personally, I would probably be more interested in what the Hemsworth brothers are doing.
People are. What must it be like to be her? To have people so fascinated with you? How does she feel? It's just.
Yes.
I would hate that. I would
absolutely
hate that. I would. Yeah, I would struggle. I think
the exposure would be.
Yeah,
it
is.
It's
just a strange one. So you see how we just made a not very clever topic into something really quite deep.
Really quite intellectual.
Because that's what we do on the Keeping an Eye on It podcast.
That's what I love.
We're constantly talking about the issues of the day. And ladies, we've run out of time, so we're going to have to leave it. Thank you very much to my esteemed panel. We have Jane Hardy over here. We have Victoria O'Neill Watson. And we have Joanna Denton. She told me off for saying Denton in North Antrim accent. So it's Joanna Denton. What have we learned today, ladies? We've learned that Joanna Denton has big knickers and a bogey in her cardigan. We have learned about romance scams, and really everything is not what it seems. And we've learned that we definitely don't want to be Princess Kate. And I think that wraps it up for this week. Thank you very much, as usual, to Cathedral Eye Clinic for sponsoring the podcast. Tune in next week. Thank you.
Local Women Magazine presents Local Women Podcast, the show for things that matter. Keeping an Eye on It podcast from Local Women Magazine is brought to you by Cathedral Eye Clinic, Northern Ireland's leading eye specialist.